Tov Lamed Daled. So Inyan Hayud Bekesher Tefillin Shel Yad. So let's go down here and look at number Kuf Yud Daled in the Tiv. Get this lined up. There is it. Zesod Masha Kasa Bezoyer and Pinchas. The boy leads the Harvech Shalo Yade Yud Shuhu Kesher Tefillin Shel Yad. So you should never move this minute Tefillin Atzma from the box of the Tefillin. Shetzrichen the Zachar Shalo Yazuz Kesher Hayud the Tefillin Shel Yad. When the buyer shall Tefillin Shel Yad, that should never leave that. Ela Yihya Kasher Hayud Mechuber Kesher Hayud Mechuber Ve'amkud El Habayis. So it should be standing there, joined together. Shel Tefillin Shel Yad. He said, "V'tam." So the reason for this is this: "V'chatam shetzar shekasher the shekasher Hayud Shel Tefillin Shel Yad Yicha Mechuber Bebayis Shel Tefillin Shel Yad Hu." Ki Hayud Hazo Shehu Kasher Shel Tefillin, who sewed the yesod Knizka Le'el. So we had talked about this is the secret of the yesod. Kasher Hayud the Tefillin Shel Yad Romez Al Yesod Azam Shel Chamesh Gevuros. So it's the yesod that holds the 5 Gevuros. Shebezecha Yesod Azam Yesh Chamesh Gevuros. Because it's from these gevuros that are the das of the nukva are made. Sheminach hamesh gevuros and imsoim bedas as their anpin, and then beyard of yesod, and they go from the das down into the yesod. Naasach das shal chanuk. These 5 make the das of the nuk. So he said that the fish who tachton the mata. But since they're down below, you have to bring them up. You have to elevate them. So the Gavana here is as this yud being strapped to the tefillin is the concept. How is this of the Chamesh Gevuros Kedei Lahan Anichem Lamala B'das the Nok. Ima Tefillin Atzman. So if the Tefillin V'yesh La'alos as Kesher Hayud, the Tefillin Shel Yad, Yachad in the Bais Atzmo Shel Tefillin Shel Yad. So the idea it's called the hand Tefillin. Now I'm not sure if there's a metaphor that say the hand Tefillin because it goes on the arm. You have to lift it up to the arm. Hayoshev is the Malak and Neged the Lev. So that part where they're placed is opposite the heart. Shal Baya Shal Tefillin Shel Yad Yoshev the Malab is roll small. It's in the left arm. Beperika Elyon Shahu Keneged the Lev. So it's up in the top of the bicep. So he said V'lekasher Sham and tie it there. V'sham is roll smally. Keneged the Lev Shal Zah Yesh Dikshor V'lechaber as Kesher Hayud Im Abaya Shal Tefillin Shel Yad. Shalo Yared B'makomo. So the idea is you have to tie it there, make it stable there, so that it shouldn't fall down from its place. Vato Elisa Bezo. So what are you trying to get at here? Sheyesh Dikshor V'lamala as Kesher Hayud Im Abaya Shal Tefillin Shel Yad. So that which you're tying it up there. Who could they Shalo Yared the Kesher Shel Yud the Mata be yesod, so they shouldn't go back down into the yesod. Now the idea is here, so it was down at the yesod, which seems to me that's close to the concept of the hand, and so or a lower part of the arm at any rate. Ella hu yishar l'malak neged the lev, but it should be tied up above, opposite the heart. So in regards to this, it says v'al kashiras yud shel tefillin im abayis atzmo keneged the lev ne'emer hakosav simenik ha'chayson al yibachos, to place me as a seal on your heart. So there's been some discussion about that previously. So he says, that should be tied opposite the heart, as a yud shel tefillin im abayis. Now we're here in the new section, or I love it when he gives these sections, but v'inyan b'tishas ha'oras mahato elis yesh bezeh. So the striking of the lights. So what is he talking about here? Trying to get my throat cleared, it's not working out. So now Kuf Kaf Zion, it says Gam Inyan Pasuk Zehu Gam Pirishu Shel Zecha Pasuk. So you want to let me explain this pasuk. Ki Inei Shnei Bechinus Choyakan. You're talking about 2 different aspects. Shebegedei la'asos at tefillin shel yad, shem the tefillin bereisha denuk, because you're not only said that the tefillin of yad, it's on the arm of their anpin, but it's also the tefillin for the head of the nuk. Az yesh la'asos shnei pa'ulos, so there's two different actions that need to be done. Harishon he pa'ula rishon to the asos at tefillin he. So in order to make those tefillin, here's the first thing. Inyan betishas kutza disari deser anpin barosha nakeva. He said bezel sheyotzer ukavutzas disari ma'achre reisha dezah. Zah, the hair, kavayachol on the top of the head as their anpin falls down towards the reisha of the nukva. V'nimshech is ma'achrav, it goes down the back of his head, ad shemigiyim makom reisha denuk, until it reaches that place. Umaka barosha, and it strikes her head there. Asher enu maka rak b'chachma b'bina shelo bilvad, but where it strikes is only on the chachma and bina of the nukva. Now I thought he would say on the keser, but he wants to concentrate here on the idea, maybe possibly of the mochin. I'm not sure. So this striking of the hair of Zer Anpin onto the head of the nuk, who rak b'chachma b'bina shel the nuk bilvad, it only goes on the chachma and bina of the nuk. So he's akutza the sa'aras dezah megian ma'achrav rak ad chachma b'bina the nuk bilvad. So just repeated it. Shuhu ad chaza the Zer Anpin, and where does this come down to? Shemako ma'achma b'bina the nuk, where are they located? So this is really the place of the chaz of the Zer Anpin. So he says the fact that he doesn't say this is the keser in the nuk, but he says it's the chub in the nuk. So it means to me that he says that that's where her head is located. So her head is located in this place. Aval das, but wait a minute. What about das? He says shalom. Shuhu yosr tachton, because her das is triangulated down below chachman bina. He says of das. Okay, there we go on the speaker. He says we're at the bottom here on Kaf Lamadawad. Badas shalosh hu yosur tachton, but her das is below them. Aber badas hanuk shemakom lamata b'makom achachva b'bina shalo. He's trying to say that this is not struck by these kutza desa'ari that are coming off of the head of Zer Anpin. The fish and asim in the yesod shalo kanizkar. Faratam shemakom badas hanuk hu lamata b'makom achuv shalo. So since it's down below, in the place of her, below from the place of her chub, who mishum shachachma v'bina denuk, it's because the chachma and the bina the nuk na'asa min achaza the zara v'shulub b'bina leiv shalazah, they made out of the chachma and the bina of zah, the words of bina the nuk na'asa min achaza the zah, they're made from the area of the chaza the zah shuhu min leiv shalzer anpen, which is placed by his heart. But the das of the nuk, the dox has to be made out of the yesod, the Zer Anpin, shuhu yosur tachton, which is below that area. Tachton b'mako libo shalazah. In other words, it's not in that area. And kutzas Ari Morning sham. So therefore, that direct flow from the head of Zer Anpin into the nuk is cut off. Below batash bay, and it doesn't strike over there. V'kevin shakutza desa'ari the Zer Anpin. Megiya raka the chuv denuk, shuhu adachaz shalo, ve'elochada shal denuk na'asechem in the yesod the Zer Anpin. So this goes to the yesod the Zer Anpin, shuhu lamata misham, which is below that area. L'chein ein hakutz the sa'ari the zechah megiya the das denuk. So therefore, this bundle of hairs doesn't reach to her das. And mamela he lo takasham, so she's not struck there. So this is the first thing you have to know, is that you have a problem. He's talking really about a kavanah. So he's saying here that when you had the kavanah to put the arm tefillin on, the kavanah is that they're starting down in the place of the yesod, but we're going to see that he's going to raise them up. shechachub shalanuk naasim at that place at the chazer al yedecha because the kutzes abrishozam b'chach b'bebina shalanuk bechinas hasheni. So that's the first thing. He lo toelas adas shalo. So you have to do something about her das. Now, what do we want to do about the das? V'chabechidach hashniya menasis b'tefillin shal yad he toelas adas shalanuk. V'gam hu gam ha toelas adas shalanuk. So what's the goal over here? What are we trying to get out of this? He said la'al also ad makom alev is in order to love evel. We have to have the concept of lifting the yesod up to the heart. La'alos es a das the nook, but he says it called the das of the nook. B'makom yesod zah, makom alev shalazah. So I said it the way I thought he was going to say it, but he said something else. He said that the yesod, the das is really down at the level of the yesod of Zer Anpin, of course. Makom yesod zah, that's where it is. Ad makom alev shalazah. So what you want to do is you want to take those gavuros that are going to go into the nook. You want to elevate that is that the chesadim of the gavuros also actually does only talks about gavuros, but at any rate. V'zeh na'asa v'aliyas adas shel nook b'makom yesod shel zah ad makom shel chalev shel zah na'asis al yidei hachashir de yud kesher imat tefillin atzma keniska. So you put them on your arm. That's what I was thinking anyway, and you really lift them up to that place. So when you get them up to that place, then they originally started out in the yesod of Zer Anpin, and this is the concept of bringing them up to fix them. Al yidei shekoshrim as kesher yud de tefillin shayad im abayis atzma b'shal tefillin shayad. So how does this happen? Now he's saying something different. He's saying different than the simple way I said it. He says what you're doing is when you're tying it, as yud. So since you're moving the box up, and you have the yud, it sounds like this way he says, but had the yud attached to the box. He says im abayis atzmo shal tefillin shal yad v'gorman, and so you're tying the box up there la'alos es adas shal nook, because he says that. It sounds like that what he's saying. He says that the yesod is there anpin represents that yud. I know he said it was a yesod. So he says of anak shalanuk macha yesod dezah shalamata, because the yesod dezah is down below. Okay. So he said, yesod dezah shalamata, the yesod dezah is down below, but you tie it onto the tefillin that you're going to attach onto the box of the tefillin, lamala mul hateferes, which would be opposite the chazah Zer Anpin, b'makom alev shalom. So going on, v'lechein keneged the betisha betrin mochi. So he says, v'lechein keneged masha kutza desa'aret Zer Anpin maka ubotesh b'shnei mochim chach v'bebina denuk lohotzia ha'arasam. So there, as a result of this, it brings out a tremendous amount of light out of the chach b'bebina the nook. Cause of simeni kachosin al libachu. That's why it says this pasuk, a pasuk shall simeni kachosin al libachu. So he's going back a little bit over this ground. Let's see what else he says. Ki sham makomo, ki makom machach bebinda denok hu keneged the lev shazer anpin v'al zecha ne'emek kachosim al libachu. So now what you're doing is a keneged masha yesh l'kshor as gevuras adas. So this is what he wants to say is you want to tie the gevuras of the das. Where is the gevuras of das located right now? So he says adenuk imachub shalah. So what you want to bring is the das, which has within it the gevuros. Bring them up to the level. Now I'm trying to think of what he's saying. Is he saying that? That down below, let's say you have the gevuras of the das reach all the way down to the yesod Zer Anpin, and you need to lift up this yesod Zer Anpin, which is now tied onto the box of tefillin, up into that place. So let's see his words of keneged man sheyesh l'kshor as gevuras adas denuk imachub shalom. So in order to be able to tie it together with the chub of the nook, V'l'halosa v'l'kosher v'zro is small, and to elevate her, to bring it up to the left arm. U'keneged b'mal sheyesh la'alos as gevura sadas the nuk. So in the same way, corresponding to this place, lifting up the das into of the nook, yesod dazah, which is located in opposite, is fed or built as a result of the yesod of zer anpin. Bring it up, alamala. As roas small as zer anpin, the kosher mozera b'sham, and tie her up there. Imachub shalanuk, together with the chochmah bebina of the nook. Ayedech kashiras yud shalarutzua, because here when you tie the straps on, imabaya shal tefillin, together with the device of the tefillin shal yad. So now he says like this, Amar. So he said, kohosim al zaracho, like a seal on your arm. Now it was before it was kohosim al libecho. Now it's on zaracho. Shezecha ne'emer b'mal she'na'asa b'kashiras yud shal tefillin shal zroa small. So now we're saying like this, as you're putting it really on the left arm, and b'kashiras yud, and you're tying that yud onto the box of Ratzul shall zroa small onto the straps of the left arm that are strapped on the left arm. V'nasan tam calls that. So let's try to understand this. He says, v'nasan nakasav tam lazos shahanuk mevakeshes minazah. So that what we want to say here, it has to do something that she's really seeking from Sarah Anpin. Simeni kahoisim adibachel, place me as a seal in your heart. That's where she wants to be. Kahoisim al zaracha, and it should be like a seal on your arm. V'omar, and she goes on and says like this. V'omar ki aza kamos av. So her quality of her love is, or the quantity of her love is tremendously powerful. This is the same thing as the love of the Jewish people for our Father in heaven. To a point where the Jews would be willing to die than to sanctify His name. Now that's the nukva. She wants to be close to Zer Anpin. Let's look at the other way. It's so powerful that it's like it would take your breath away, your life away. So therefore, since there's such a tremendous amount of love bein azal the nook, either the nook to the zah to the nook. So that's the reason why he lifts her up. So he takes them up from that. That's the theory behind it, because he wants to be so close to her, or she's reaching up to him, and joins her together with him. So he takes her over there. Wow. Okay, I don't know where I lost you. I wasn't aware that I lost you over there. I'm trying to ramble through this. How about number Kuf Nun? Okay, Kuf Nun says, Avizah the Nukva, so he also loves her. V'hina Avishayesh Nuk Aviyalcha Bein Zah the Nuk. He Gedoyle V'Aza is very, very powerful. Ad Kalas Nefesh, it's like his life would end. So since you have going both ways, tremendous love, so therefore his love for her, now he's really focusing on Zah, so therefore he lifts her up. So that's the kavanah. This is the kavanah that you really want her to be with you. Zer Anpin wants her, and he joins together. This on his left arm. This is the same concept of joining the woman with the man. That she's really being hugged by his arms. So he said, and that this subject that we're talking about, he said, kosher as hagavuros shaladas shalanuk bezro smoli. So he's putting her on his left arm. Nikra av mamish. This is called pure love. Zera Kasher v'Achibo hu abechidach she'ne'em b'masim she'ne'em b'ba, where he's saying to that is said to, I guess, in regards to her. Simeni kachosim al zaracho, place me as a seal on your arm. V'zuhi av mamish. This is pure love, and this is the if you remember, this is the kavana over here. V'zechein ye'emer ki azik kamos av, so that her love is tremendous. V'achasher gavar, so a little bit more to do. So he said, "V'achasher gavar hanichach on the kever at tefillin shalom b'techilas," and now he puts her tefillin first. So basically, those aren't his tefillin; they're hers tefillin, but they're tied to him. V'achasher k'dima hanuk l'haniach as the tefillin shalom. So now he came first, and he made her tefillin. Shuhu tefillin shal yad, which is the hand tefillin. Mishum avar nizkaras, because why? Because he loves her and because she loves him. Then the asa yedera av zer anpin lenuk, but he wants to say this is coming from the top to the bottom, zer anpin towards the nook. So therefore, he's going to do something to bring her to him. Oz misakne ba miskane ba azah. But when this happens, Zah realizes it's something precious he's giving to her, so he's that jealous. This is not really the metaphor. This is close to the metaphor, but he says as if it's possible to say that Zer Anpin becomes jealous of his female counterpart. Al sheyesh la tefillin barosha, because she has tefillin on her head, and he doesn't. Shehema tefillin shayad shalo, which is his hand tefillin, but he's built her up from her top. So he said, "Menich gam kual tefillin shal rosh." So he said, so therefore, because he's jealous of this, this also part of this kavana of putting on tefillin, because of the jealousy that he has in regards to this. Gam hazam manich tefillin shal rosh. So he puts on tefillin of rosh too, so that he doesn't have to be wanting to be like her. So kasha kashol kina. So this is the secret of this phrase, is that jealousy is harder than the grave. The pirush apasa kashagash ol kina. Shazena amber al kina sazera benuk. So this is said in regards to the jealousy of Zer Anpin for the nook, kedei la'asos tefillin barosha, and so therefore that's why he needs tefillin on his head. V'harin is boyer tam lama makdimin the tefillin sheyad the tefillin sharosh. And now we explained all of that. V'zozn is boyer tam if they ma makdimin as the tefillin sheyad shehem tefillin shal reisha the nook. The tefillin shall rosh shehem tefillin the reisha the zav. V'hu mishum shebetechila hanuk makdemis nachaniach tefillin barosha. So she comes first. She puts her tefillin on first. Shuhu tefillin shal yad the zav, which is Zah's arm tefillin. Machmis akasev ki azik kamos av, because it's strong. The amount of that love. So then after that, he puts on his own tefillin shal rosh, mishum makasav la'achar mekan kasher kashol kino. So that's that little bit. Now, does it say anything about the, I'm just wondering, does it say anything about the arm tefillin of the nook? So from here it sounds like the nook has head tefillin, but it doesn't say anything about the arm tefillin. Okay, so I'm not sure that she has. So let me stop here and get out my